Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Szilárd and this is Discover on Two Wheels. In today's episode of Road to Iceland, we're going to be talking about our last training session, which is called London Peaks, because we visited a couple of the highest points in North London. I will be also talking about some core training, give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to optimize your core training to get the best out of it. I will be also recommending 5 hills in North London that you could use in your training session to level up your hill climbing game. Without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about today is training. I talked about some leg workouts, lower body training last week. What I did was I explained a protocol I use mainly with my training and with my clients' training, especially when it comes to strength and conditioning. Today I'm going to be talking about core training, and again I'm going to explain a protocol that I use with myself and my clients as well to get the most out of core training. I chose to talk about protocols first instead of just giving random exercises because if you understand how to choose exercises and how to group them together, then you can significantly improve the benefits of your workout, be it lower body workout, upper body workout, or core training, regardless. Also, the order I chose to introduce these protocols is I started with the lower body because with cycling it tends to get the priority and then core and then upper body. So this is the order I'm going to be following. Last week I talked about the lower body training, this week core training protocols, and then next week we're going to move on to upper body, and then the week after that I will do a full body protocol. Now when it comes to core training, I'm not only talking about abdominal training. When you work on your trunk, that involves your lower back muscles such as the quadratus lumborum. It includes your side body muscles, internal external obliques, some of the serratus muscles. Also includes the abdominal muscles, the rectus abdominis and the transversus abdominis. In order to get the best out of your core workout, you want to hit all these muscle groups and you want to make sure that you choose the right exercises. The type of exercise I choose for my training programs and for my training as well depends on what is the goal. If I'm working on overall core strength, I want to make sure that I work on the lower back muscles, on the oblique muscles and on the abdominal muscles as well. In order to use this protocol effectively, I usually group the exercise into 2 bigger groups, and one of them is based on the exercise type. It's either a dynamic movement or an isometric exercise, and the second group would be joint action. So it can be flexion, extension, lateral flexion and rotation. These are the exercises what I'm looking to put into the workout to satisfy the protocol. Dynamic exercises can be described by the shortening and the lengthening of the muscle fibers to create movement which involves either a single joint or multiple joints. Based on that, we talk about isolation exercises and compound movements. Compound movements would be the ones which include more than one joint. So, for example, a bench press would be a compound movement. Now, when we talk about muscle contraction, we can differentiate between concentric contraction and eccentric contraction and isometric contraction, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Concentric contraction in the simplest form means that the muscle fibers contract and shorten. Eccentric contraction, on the other hand side, means that the muscle fibers are contracting but lengthening at the same time. A very simple example to use to demonstrate this would be a bicep curl. So when you lift a weight up and you're bending your arms, that would be the concentric phase of the exercise, and then when you're lowering the barbell or dumbbell slowly down, that would be the eccentric phase. In comparison to the dynamic movements, isometric exercises are static movements. Isometric contraction is a type of muscle contraction where the muscle fibers neither shortening or lengthening, they contract and they stay in that position. So for example, a plank would be a very good example for that, where you're just holding the position, the muscle fibers are contracting, but there is no shortening or lengthening of the muscle fibers. Now moving on to joint actions. When it comes to core training, there are 4 joint actions we need to consider, and those are flexion, extension, lateral flexion and rotation. Now all of these joint actions have dynamic or isometric variants as well, and we're going to go through all of these, and I give you an example, and later on I will show you a demonstration of each of these exercises. When it comes to flexion, the easiest way to explain that is bending the back. That often involves exercises like crunches and sit-ups, hollow body holds. Now, if we separate them based on the type of exercises, a dynamic flexion movement would be a crunch or a sit-up, and a isometric variation would be a hollow body hold, where you just contract your body and you try to maintain a banana or boat-like shape. When we talk about extension exercises, you need to think about arching your lower back. So that would include exercises like a back extension as a dynamic variation, or an isometric variation would be a locust pose, which is quite popular in yoga, and it's a very powerful exercise to help you to strengthen your lower back muscles. Lateral flexion stands for side bending exercises, and you're most likely very familiar with this one. You've seen people in the gym grabbing a dumbbell and then just bending sideways. That would be a dynamic lateral flexion exercises, because your spine is flexed in a side lateral direction. And an isometric variation would be a side lying oblique crunch, which probably, again, you've seen it in the gym, or if you participate in abs classes, it's very likely that you've done it in the past. If you think about rotational movement, anything what includes the twisting of the upper body while the hip remains stationary, we would call it a spinal rotation. So exercises from the dynamic range is like Russian twist, a very common exercise we use. But when it comes to isometric exercise, we will talk about more anti-rotational exercises rather than rotational exercises, because what we're going to do, for example, with a pull-off hold, is that we try to resist the anti-rotational forces created by a resistance band or a cable machine, depending on what you are using. When it comes to planning core workouts, I like to use rep ranges and durations as well, mixed together. So this is what I'm going to do in this video as well. I will give you rep ranges, durations on some of the exercises. We're going to mix them up. I will tell you exactly how many sets to do. And then the good thing is that you only need a resistance band, so you can do this workout at home as well, and believe me, it's gonna be challenging. So let's have a quick look at the Crapometer. At the moment we are standing at 1,513 kilometers, so this is how much I've ridden the bike since I got it at the end of August. And to be honest, with the condition of the bike, nothing really changed since last time. It's just getting really dirty because of the rides. For the last couple of rides we had pretty much rain and mud all the time. I'm trying to do my best with the cleaning, but unfortunately I have to store the bike in a garage lended by my friends, which is a little bit further away from me. My best shot at the moment to cleaning the bike is to find a jet wash on one of the petrol stations and then just wash the bike there, because yeah, otherwise it's gonna be covered in grease completely real soon. Alright, anyways.
Yeah, sorry, I lost.
Almost 75 kilometers today. We're gonna stay in London and just do some peaks. Chose a couple of high points in North London and then we're gonna go and smash them. The elevation profile is about 790 meters or 780, something like that. Bit of rain, but it's warm finally. So yeah, let's get going. And as usual, let's have a quick look at Strava as well. So last training session was called London Peaks. We visited a couple of the highest points in North London and the distance was 75.62 kilometers. It took me 3 hours and 46 minutes to complete. The elevation profile was 953 meters. My average power output was 109 watts. And I burned 1,648 calories, which is not too bad. Time was kind of okay. Our average speed was 20 kilometers an hour, and considering that at some spots we went a little bit slower because we had a quick chat on the bike and some of the places were a little bit rougher, muddier, I think it was still kind of okay. The highlight of the training route was definitely Muswell Hill. First time I ever been there, and that place is beautiful. It's like you pedaling in the countryside, very nice architecture, nice pretty streets, and the view is amazing. From there you can see down all the way pretty much to central London, and it is gorgeous. Also, the hills are not too steep, not too long, so it's challenging but not undoable. You're not gonna get cooked while you do those hills, but it's gonna get your legs fired up. And now here comes 5 places that I recommend you to visit if you are based in North London. These hills can be included in your training route. As I mentioned it earlier, these are challenging places, challenging hills, but not undoable, nothing extremely hardcore. So even if you're a beginner or intermediate rider, you should be absolutely fine with these ones. And the first place is on the list, Stanmore Hill. Stanmore Hill stands at 152 meters above sea level, and it is located in Stanmore. I would say it's a pretty decent climb, and the hill goes from Stanmore towards Bushy Heath. It's 1,270 meters long. The elevation is 60 meters, which is going to give you a 4.72% gradient. And the next one on the list is Arkley, which is at 147 meters above sea level. It's located in Barnet. It is a pretty nice climb from Mill Hill Apex Corner to Arkley via Stirling Corner, and the distance itself is 3,910 meters. The elevation is 60 meters, which is going to give you a 1.53% average gradient, which is not very steep. This one is rather a long extended climb, but definitely is one worth to do if you are local to that area. Moving on to the next one is Hampstead Heath, which stands at 137 meters above sea level. It is located in the London Borough of Camden, between Highgate Village and Hampstead. The climb itself, what I recommend to do, and it is actually quite challenging, goes from Gospel Oak Station all the way up to Highgate Village. The distance is 2,360 meters. And the elevation is 90 meters, which is going to give you a 3.81%. I've did this climb a few times, actually more than a few times, many times, and I can definitely verify that this climb is not easy, but the area is beautiful, so I highly recommend you to consider it, including into your training routes in the future. The next one on the list is Pinner Hill, which stands at 126 meters above sea level. It is located in Harrow, northwest of Harrow-on-the-Hill. The hill climb I recommend actually goes from Pinner Village up to Pinner Hill Golf Club, which is a pretty sweaty climb. The distance is 2,390 meters. The elevation is 70 meters, which is going to give you an average gradient of 2.51%. So if you look at the numbers, you can understand why is this a sweaty climb. But again, you're riding in a very nice green area, so you actually wouldn't even bother about your legs burning a little bit because the surroundings are just so nice. So moving on to the very last one on this list is Muswell Hill, which rises 105 meters above sea level. This is the most local hill climb to me. I've did this route many times. I walk up and down on it at least 2 or 3 times every single day. The place itself is located in Haringey. The road is called Muswell Hill Road, also known as A504. The length of the climb is only 680 meters, but you get 50 meters elevation for that distance, which is going to give you an average 7.35% gradient. Though the steepest part of it, I believe, around 12% gradient. And this will be the hill I'm going to be using next week as my challenge. I'll try to do this hill climb as many times I can before I give up, either physically or mentally. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will be back with the new one next week, where I'm gonna have a special challenge. I will try to ride the Muswell Hill hill climb as many times I can before either I physically or mentally get shattered. I'm curious what I can do, because last time when I tried it, I managed to do it 4 times. That's about 2.5 or 2.6 kilometers, so it's not much, but the average gradient you could see in the video previously, it's about 7.35%, so it is going to be interesting and challenging and painful at the same time. So stay tuned, and hopefully I see you next week. As usual, all of our social media is included in the description below. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Komoot and Strava. If you like our content, don't forget to hit like, share it with your family and your friends, and remember to subscribe. See you later, take care, ciao!